It's the next level.
Hmm? Ah!
Try to keep your mind off it? What else has that guy got to do but stress?
I got enough on my plate without having to treat hypochondriacs.
Yeah, well, that's like my point, man. We're all fried. I mean, have you taken a look at everybody out there? Everybody's way tense. Dude, I'm just saying, it'd be sweet if we could have, I don't know, something to do.
We're surviving here, Hurley. And that's my main concern, is keeping us alive. Things could be worse.
Oh!
Welcome, everyone, as we head back to the island once again from the Next Level Podcast Network. I am Ben Beck.
And from the Podcastica Network, I am Kristen Howe. This episode, we continue on as we review and break down 2 more episodes of the first season of Lost, those being Episode 9, Solidarity, and Episode 10, Raised by Another.
We're getting 2 more introduction backstories this time. We're getting Saeed and we're getting Claire. So...
2 fan favorites.
Yeah, one is yours and one is mine.
Yeah, for sure.
Your love for one character deepens, as did mine, as we're doing this. And it was interesting this time around, too, because we actually watched the episodes together, which it took a little work, but we made it happen.
We started an hour late.
Yeah, we started an hour late. And
somewhere else.
We had some people with us, though. We had, some of our friends who are listeners joining us for the Lost, for the watch, and it was fun.
Steve, Wendy,
and Jill.
Steve, Wendy, and Jill?
Yeah.
Was there another? Christina? Was Christina there?
I don't want to say no, just in case she was. If she was, Christina, I'm sorry.
She was. Ben totally remembers you.
I do. I completely remember you. And if you weren't there, you just have that much of an impact on us that I felt like you were. So I apologize.
There you go. Good job, Ben.
Yeah.
Way to CYA there.
Exactly. But just a quick rundown of the podcast if you're new to it. This is a spoiler-full podcast. Not necessarily on purpose, but sometimes we do divulge into conversations about the future of the series.
And I've got some spoilers in my notes tonight.
I think I have 1 or 2 as well.
Yeah, so if you don't want spoilers, this may not be the episode, because I do have some big ones.
Good, because I'm looking at my notes right now, and I do have a couple that are in here that we'll talk about. So,
if you don't like them, swim away. Just swim away. Apologies
if there are spoilers in here and you're new to watching the series. But it has been over, I think it's been almost 10 years since the show.
2004, December 1st, 2004 was the air date of Raised by Another.
Okay, so yeah, we're over 10 years. For the series. God, over 10 years. My God.
It's been 14 years.
I know. Jesus.
We're teenager level here.
For you?
Teenager level as in 14 years.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, I wasn't a teenager in 2004.
It's the bad dad joke again.
That was your time. That was your bad dad joke this time.
Our time down here. It's their time up there, but it's our time down here.
All right, Goonie.
Best horrible speech ever.
I can contest that, but that's a different podcast. But also, we cover 2 episodes per podcast, as we are this week, episodes 9 and 10. Podcasts will be released on the 1st and 15th of every month. So as you are listening to this, August 1st has approached. And I am... Payday. You say that every day.
Every damn time. Payday, man.
And, of course, we will hopefully be bringing you conversations with the cast of Lost, as well as maybe some of the production crew at the same time. We're working on those. I'm currently in the works of doing them right now, and I'm aiming for, hopefully, in between seasons to have some of them. Because I want to keep going with the seasons. I don't want to break, You know, I don't want to do like episodes 11 and 12, stop, and then do an interview, and then do 13, 14. So maybe after, hopefully we're done talking about the finale of season 1, we'll have an interview kind of in between, and then we'll jump into the next one. Because I just realized, too, in a 6-season show, by the end of the next episode, we're already halfway through season 1.
I know.
It seems like it's going quick, but it's been like 2 months. So, you know, it is.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Is that what this is?
Yes.
Sorry.
That is what this is.
So let's jump into the episodes themselves, and how we do that is each of us present our top 3 points that we want to talk about and discuss when it comes to these 2 episodes. So I'm going to kick it off to you. And
first I want to know, which one did you like better?
I always go by which one I have more notes for, but I don't think that qualifies this time. I have more notes for Solidarity, but simply because it was Claire and her backstory, and she's gorgeous, and that Australian accent makes me melt. I think Raised by Another was probably my favorite of the 2.
Okay.
What about you?
Gosh, I honestly like them both equally this time. Usually I have a favorite when I come out, but I think that the 2 of them go so well together. It's kind of bookended by Saeed, coming back to the group at the end of Raised by Another and learning about him. And, I think there was some Claire elements. I think that we, Ethan was introduced in Solidarity. And so I just think that the 2 episodes go so well together that I kind of viewed it as one big episode.
Okay. That's a total cop-out excuse, but all right.
No, it's not. I usually have a favorite.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. All right, raspberries. All right, so now that that's out of the way, let's go down into our top 3 points of the episodes, and I'll kick it off to you. What was your number 3 of the 2 episodes?
My number 3 was Hurley. Actually, I just think that Hurley, very early into the series, he proves to be the unsung hero of just the genesis of getting the survivor group together. He's got the pulse on the morale of the group. He knows what they need. He knows what they don't need. Jack is all business, and he's just so tunnel vision when it comes to just Jack. Jack does what Jack wants to do. I don't really think that he really thinks about others as much as, somebody else needs something from me. Now what do I do? But I look at Hurley, and Hurley is so focused outward. He really never thinks of himself. He builds the golf course because he thinks people need to have fun. He wants the census because he understands that, after Claire's attack, that, just trusting these people just because everybody's in a plane crash together and survived, that doesn't mean that they're all good people. And he thinks that, there should be some kind of a list or the manifest should be updated, right?
Yeah, he's doing it for the safety of others. He's not doing it for himself.
Right. I mean, and he gets something from Sawyer without having to give anything up.
That's true. He's got away with dealing with people.
Right. And so it's just, you see pockets of Hurley the entire time, and I think that he is
That's a good band name, by the way. Pockets of Hurley. I'm writing that down.
I call it.
Oh, fine. Damn it.
So I just think that, especially with the manifest and what Hurley did, with that, and finding out that Ethan was not on the list, it validated what Claire was saying, making Jack once again the worst. It's, those Zach Morris's trash.
Yeah.
I would really like to make one for Jack one day. But I just love Hurley. I just think that, we don't even know a backstory on him yet. We haven't gotten there, but we still know who this character is. And I think that says a lot about Hurley.
Well, not only that, but I mean, he's a great character in that he really does have his finger on the pulse of everything that's going on the island. He knows about what to do to increase morale with everybody that's there. But at the same time, he is also still one of the biggest sources of comic relief when it comes to the show itself. And one of my favorite moments of the episode of Solidarity is the beginning of the episode when Jack and Hurley are sitting there in the caves, and Jack says to Hurley, you know, things really couldn't get any worse. Or no, Hurley says to Jack, I think it's...
I know what you're talking about. Hang on. I know what you're talking about. Because, what does he say? He says, Jack tells Hurley at least they're surviving and should be happy about that. Jack says things could be worse.
That's right. Says, How? Yeah. Which was such an outlandish response to that, you know, I laugh out loud at the way his reaction was to that question. And at the same time, I shake my head and I just think to myself, oh, poor Hurley. If you only knew
how bad it's going to get.
What you still have coming to you and this group. Like, you should really watch your words.
Yeah, but I mean, they are stranded on an island. For me, this is a pretty bleak situation. So.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, at the same time, you know.
I also love Hurley with Hurley and Charlie with the golf clubs
over
their head.
One of my favorite memes ever.
Yeah, it's wonderful in every way. So.
And I mean, and I can't wait to explore that a little bit more too, because we've seen a little bit of the relationship between Hurley and Charlie, but to this point, we haven't seen much of it. We've seen kind of like the beginning stages of it. We've seen more of the relationship between Charlie and Claire develop, and especially in Raised by Another. But I can't wait until we dive deeper into the whole Charlie and Hurley friendship, because it's one of my favorite parts of the entire show. I mean, to the point where, again, spoiler, you know, when it comes to the last days of Charlie, like, I think I legitimately got teared up when you had to watch the emotion on Hurley's face finding out about that. Yeah. So, and Hurley he legitimately is one of my favorite characters. He is in my top 3 of favorite characters in this show.
Yeah, he's a good character. I just like that he does not consider himself first.
No, he thinks of others before he thinks of himself.
That's a good person. My daughter is like that.
Yes, she is. Danny is awesome.
I just love those personalities because they're special and they're rare.
Yeah. And I mean, we're definitely going to see a lot more of that as the show progresses too. There's so many more examples of how Hurley puts others before himself.
Mm-hmm.
So,
how about you? What's your number 3?
My number 3 is sort of a statement, but it kind of rings true in both episodes, and that is that the father figures in this show up to this point are total dicks. You know, we have 2 main father figures throughout that are kind of shined upon in these 2 episodes. In Solidarity, we get to see a little bit more of Michael and his relationship with Walt, and it's not until the end with the golf course that we see Michael even lighten up a little bit. You know, in the beginning of the episode, he's kind of really harsh to Walt, you know, and it's no wonder that you see this budding surrogate friendship develop between Walt and Locke in future episodes. It's because Michael's kind of a dick when it comes to Walt.
Michael is the worst.
But I mean, on top of that, you know, you go forward into Raised by Another, and you have, for the life of me, I can't remember his name, but the father of Claire's child just up and abandons her.
Thomas?
I think it is Thomas. But even before these 2 characters, the only other real father figure we've seen is Jax and Christian Shepherd, and Christian is a dick. I mean, so we're really not seeing much when it comes to father figures out of this show. Every example of a father figure we have gotten has been a dick.
And to further your point, Sawyer's dad wasn't exactly the best either.
That's very true. And looking even further forward, there are many other examples of fathers being total dicks. I mean, we get Charles Whitmore later on, who we find out is a father of another character. We haven't really seen much of,
and kind of the major villain of the entire series.
Sort of. But also going on that note, Ben is a total dick to Alex, even though Alex, kind of a spoiler because we just got the first mentions of Alex in these episodes.
Good job, buddy.
Sorry, that's a kind of a big spoiler, but
it is, but we said at the beginning.
True. But Ben is kind of a dick to Alex. Well, the whole Jack father thing is something completely different. Because that's not exactly real. So we're not going to go into that one too far. But Kate kills her father. Well, no, kills her stepfather. But she at the time thought he was her father.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, no, you're right. You're absolutely right. That's a really excellent point. I think the showrunners have some daddy issues.
Yeah, I'm starting to believe that. So yeah, I mean, my number 3 is just the simple fact, and we've already seen a couple samples of it, and there are more to come, that father figures are dicks.
There is Claire's father who really was awful to her.
Well, yeah.
We want to talk about father figures.
Well, without saying too much, we've kind of already mentioned him.
Yep.
So, but that's all I'll say. We'll leave something to the people who haven't seen it yet and are watching it for the first time.
Yeah, okay.
So, but yeah, so that's my number 3, for this. Going into number 2, what about you? What's your number 2?
I saw this, it's kind of like these thematic elements that came out, in both episodes, more in Solidarity than in Raised by Another, but it did pop up in Raised by Another, once or twice. And it was this concept of trust and mercy. Saeed in the past and present, is trying to earn the trust of another woman. In one case, he is, trying to, give mercy to Nadia by, letting her go, by trying not to hurt her, by trying to reason with her, so that he doesn't have to hurt her. But that's mercy. I'm sorry. He's trying to earn her trust by playing on their past relationship and their friendship and the way that they grew up together, and trying to get information by getting her to trust her. And then in the present, when he's the one that's being tortured, which is playing at the same time in a meanwhile kind of parallel, he's trying to gain Danielle's trust by offering to fix the music box and by trying to, establish a connection with her by saying her name or asking about who Alex is or asking about her story or giving her the information that it's been 16 years. And then you see this form of mercy also, emerging where he gives Nadia the mercy by letting her go and getting her to escape. And then on the same token, in the present with Danielle, he's asking to be let go, and he's asking to go rejoin his friends and to go help his friends with the new term that we hear from Danielle, which is the others.
Yeah, so first instance we're getting of that.
Right. So then, you see it just a little bit pop up in Raised by Another with Claire, and she's trusting the wrong person at first, the father of her child, Thomas, and she sees the fortune teller, and she doesn't trust him and what's going on, and then she's kind of begging him, and he shows her mercy by just saying, you know what, just here's a family for you. Go on this plane ride. It has to be this plane ride. You have to be on this, just go, go, go. When really we know, okay, he knows that the only way that she's going to raise her child is if Claire's in this plane crash, right? But at the time, you don't really know that that's what's going on. So it's just really interesting. And then Claire, who's been so betrayed by so many people, especially male figures. She thinks she's been betrayed by this fortune teller. She's been betrayed by Thomas. She's been betrayed by her father. And then Charlie approaches, and he's everything good that she needs, and she's unwilling to take that step with him, which I just find very interesting. But he's the one that brings up the point about the fortune teller.
Yeah, but I was just going to say that too. That's the point I was going to make, is that while she's not really willing to take that step with Charlie, at the same time, Charlie is also kind of the one that makes the breakthrough with her.
Right.
And that makes her,
why she lets him in.
Yeah, which is by making her realize that this fortune teller, this psychic, is the one that is kind of responsible for her being where she is. I want to focus on that for a second, and I'm curious, because that's one of the things I have in my notes, is when that's revealed, and I couldn't remember watching that episode if that was something that was revealed this episode or if it was something that was revealed later, that the fortune teller kind of set it up for her to be on that island. When that happened and all of that was revealed, when you first saw that, was that something that was kind of like a revelation to you too? Was it something that you believed, or was it something that you kind of just wrote off?
No. I mean, when Charlie made that point, I think that, everybody was Claire thinking, oh, yeah, that makes sense, and what's interesting is that I haven't seen the show in so long, that I actually put, he must have known about the crash. This is how she raises her son. And then in the very next scene, Charlie and Claire have that conversation. I crossed it out in my notes saying, okay, well, that was answered.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But when I said that, like, I couldn't remember, because I remember watching the episode. I'm like, wait a minute. I think it's set up that he was the one responsible for being there, but I can't remember if that happens later or, yeah. So it's interesting that's the case, but I love the fact that it's, we're already getting these instances in the show. We're only 10 episodes in at this point, and we're already getting these moments where, like, wow, there's so much more to this that we don't even realize yet. And it just keeps happening every week.
And the story is so impressively fleshed out.
Yeah.
Which is wonderful.
Yeah. I can't, like, again, it gets tougher and tougher every week to do this, to not watch ahead. Because I want to know what's going to happen again. Yeah.
I like it that we're limiting to 2 episodes at a time, just because there's so much TV that I love watching aside from this.
Yep. Agreed. Agreed completely.
What about you? What was your number 2?
My number 2, and it's I have a couple things checked off here that I could use. But I'm going to go with this one, and this is our first introduction to the French woman, aka Danielle Rousseau.
Danielle Rousseau.
And I have written down the French woman's traps. Because it's very interesting. I think this was something that had come up in our group watch of this in the chat. And this was something I kind of already knew. The first instance that we see, obviously, the episode starts with Saeed finding the cable running into the water, which plays a huge part of the show later on, not necessarily right now. It's kind of actually just kind of brought up and forgotten about in this episode until it comes up again later, a couple seasons down the road when we find out more about it. But back to the trap, we see Saeed, who's very intelligent, who is a military officer, kind of find the tripwire, step over it, but at the time step over it, trigger another trap. And, this was what I think somebody had brought up, like, well, how did Saeed still trip the wire if he didn't know about it?
Me.
Was it you? Okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember who brought it up. And I remember saying, like, well, this was a secondary trap. This wasn't the same trap. This is a woman who was so smart to know that somebody's going to see this tripwire. They're going to step over it, because let's be honest, we've all seen those movies where there's tripwires and people just step over them and they're safe. This woman has probably seen these movies and has set up a secondary trap, which completely catches Saeed off guard. So we're not just seeing a woman who has been trapped for 16 years on this island. She's learned, and we don't yet know why at this point until a little bit later on in the episode when we get the first mention of the others. So my number 2 is basically the introduction of Danielle Rousseau. because she is such an intriguing character at this point. We don't know who she is. We don't know who she got there. We don't know who Alex is until the end of the episode. And even when it's revealed who Alex is, she simply says, my child. We don't know if it's a male or female. And that kind of plays into it a little bit later on in the show as well. So she is a character who is very mysterious at this point and kind of remains that way for a good portion.
Yeah. She also has a really great line in her episode where she says there's no such thing as monsters. And it's so true. That smoke monster, it's not a monster. She knows exactly what it is. She knows exactly what's going on. And I think that that's also a little bit of foreshadowing that she knows what that black smoke thing is. And she knows that it's not a monster, that it's something else. So that's a nice little, piece of foreshadowing that's just very, very nuanced in the way that it's dropped.
And she also knows about the bears. Oddly enough.
Yeah.
But I mean, when you've been on that island for 16 years, you would kind of know about them at the same time. My only question about it, and it's something that the writers don't exactly address, I don't think ever, throughout the course, one of many questions that we never get an answer to, is for somebody who's been on that island for as long as she has, and it probably has mapped that island as much as she has, because there are maps in her bungalow or whatever it is, because Saeed does end up with them at the end. We did reveal, we talked about this in an earlier episode, that there are in fact 2 islands that are next to each other. I'm wondering if it's ever been revealed that Rousseau knew that there was a second island. And
probably not.
Which makes me question, like, for somebody who's been there for that long, how could you not know there was another island? I mean, and not only that, but if you know that these others exist and you've followed them and you've tracked them, which I'm sure she has, wouldn't you know where they're coming from at this point in 16 years?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't know. I guess that's something that we can definitely talk about later.
No, I want to talk about it now, damn it. No, I'm just kidding. Because I
just feel like once you have more of the story and you're like more in it, that maybe we could like talk about it.
Well, yeah, because
more intelligently. I don't know.
This could have been revealed. This is something that might have been discussed and I've just forgotten about. So yeah, it's something to pay attention to as we go through, because we know about her child. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if it's ever been revealed about her as to whether or not she's ever been that far. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to keep an eye on that as we continue forward. So
yeah, I'm definitely, I'd like to know the answer. So that's cool.
You're just blowing smoke. You don't care.
No, I'm not.
I'm kidding. Let's talk about your number 1.
Yeah.
You're ready to wrap up already.
No, you know what? My number 1 was Ethan. We get our very first villain in these 2 episodes, I think. Ethan is a guy that you thought was kind of helpful and kind of cool, whatever. And then, like, as the story unfolds a little bit, he just starts to get a little bit more creepy. Not in any sense of, and maybe it's just that we've seen it. As somebody that's seen the whole show, you're kind of like, oh yeah, here's Ethan. No, we're finally going to see the beginning of Ethan, right? So you're watching him kind of skulk around a little bit, and you know what's happening and what's going on. And when Claire says that her mouth has been covered and somebody stabbed her with something in her belly, like, we know what that is. We know exactly what that is, And so, when I was doing my research for the show, I brushed up on, Ethan's entire story. And I, all of a sudden, I remembered exactly what and who he was. And I just got really excited about kind of what the next few episodes were going to be for Ethan and Claire.
And a certain moment for Charlie too, oh God.
Yeah. So Ethan says his last name is Ram. And anybody that doesn't know, Ethan Rom is actually an anagram for other man.
Really?
Yes.
I did not know that.
Yeah. And so he actually has a real last name, which we learn later on in the series. It's Goodspeed. And, so he takes on this alias from the very beginning, Ethan Rom. His name is really Ethan, but he says his last name is different. Mm-hmm. And as we learn later, he's been sent there, and he has a specific agenda, and that agenda, is Claire. And so it's very, very cool to see kind of the beginnings of what's going on. But then when you do your research on Ethan, you realize that his intentions are really warped, but they're kind of good. It's weird. Like, you have to kind of understand what's going on with the story in order to understand what he's trying to do. Because you learn that the island has some secrets.
Yeah.
And especially when it comes to pregnant women, which you learn later. So.
Well, I mean, it's interesting that you bring that up too, because I remember the first time watching these episodes that I was so intrigued by everything else that was going on that when it got revealed at the end of that episode that Ethan was the guy that wasn't on the manifest, I don't think it had even ever clicked until that point that Ethan was the guy that was being weird. I thought this was just another, cause in Solidarity, we got introduced to the hypochondriac. So we were still constantly meeting new survivors that we hadn't seen before. I had thought Ethan was just another one of those guys because he was also introduced in that episode. So it was kind of,
but he never got Jack.
No. So it was kind of interesting that I thought it was kind of smart in the way of the writing that we got introduced to that hypochondriac and Ethan at the same time. It was kind of almost a little bit of a smokescreen so that you wouldn't,
red herring.
Yeah. So that you would kind of think at the same time, well, a little bit of a red herring, but also a distraction so that when you just see this random guy happen to pop up after 9 episodes, you're not automatically drawn to him. We've gotten other new characters introduced at the same time. So by episode 10, when it's revealed he was not the guy on the manifest, you're like, oh, okay, I kind of didn't see that coming because I remember I didn't. When it was revealed that Ethan was the guy, I was like, oh shit, like I didn't see that one at all for some reason. But also, going forward a little bit, talking about like Ethan Goodspeed, which is his real name and where he came from and what his orders were. It's kind of almost a little disheartening when you realize a little bit later on in the series, because when you see Ethan now and you see everything that plays out and everything that happens to him, you're like, yeah, rightfully so. That guy was he was bad. Like everything that he got, he deserved. But then when you fast forward a little bit and you see Ethan again in like flashbacks and stuff like that from where he actually came from and what his purpose was, you think back to everything that happened in and you kind of realize like, whoa, had they known what was really going on, they totally overreacted. And you kind of punished an innocent man.
And that's the whole, like, that's kind of like the problem that you have with The Walking Dead right now, right? Is that when do our heroes become the villains and good and bad just ebbs and flows out of people so easily, right? And it's all about perspective. I mean, if we saw the perspective of the show from Ethan from the very beginning, we would understand what he was doing, and then what happens to him subsequently is tragic.
Yeah. Because I mean, he's simply, when you look forward, and this is going ahead a little bit, so it's a little bit of a spoiler, but you kind of realize later on that he was simply he was a group of people that were living where they were. He was given an assignment, so he was given something to do, and he was simply following through on that assignment. There was not really ill will intended, and it kind of just plays out in a way that you're right.
Mean, he had lost his family, and he had been a surgeon. He had been working with the issue of pregnant women on the island. I mean, he had an entire backstory.
Yeah.
So,
which you don't get until later.
A very tragic backstory. You know, and I think he was probably used like their leader uses everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, but we get kind of the very first villain from the survivors' point of view. And Ethan, it's the first time that we see that there are other people on the island. I mean, first with Danielle and then with Ethan.
Yeah.
You know, got two people from two different groups of people that have run into these survivors now. So now they really need to kind of figure out what they're going to do.
Yeah.
What about your number one?
My number one, I'm actually surprised you didn't name it as one of your three. And it's called one thing, but I call it something completely different. It's called the Island Open, but I call it the Hurley Open because he is the creator. And in all honesty, there's really not a lot to talk about when it comes to this, but it is one of my absolute favorite moments, not only of the episode, but also of season 1. And we kind of dove into it a little bit earlier when we were talking about Hurley at the top of our top 3. But just the fact that you see Hurley come up with something and come up with this idea and follow through with it. And it's one of those ideas that when it's first pitched to the group, like when Jack and Michael see it, you know, they say to him, like, we don't really have time for this. And it's Hurley that speaks up and says, like, everybody could use a little bit of fun. And the very next scene that you see of it is Jack planning his shot with Michael. Mm-hmm. So they've completely fallen into it. And not only that, but, you know, I brought up the hypochondriac earlier, but he's another guy who comes up to Jack about this rash that he has, immediately sees this golf game and says, and forgets all about his ailments and just says, can I play? Mm-hmm. And by the end of this episode, we see everybody, including Sawyer, coming in and being a part of this.
That was one of my favorite moments. I'm glad that you brought that up. I knew that you were going to bring up the Island Open, which is why I didn't bother. But Sawyer took Hurley's advice, and
he found something to do.
Advice? Yeah. Was it Hurley's advice when he said, you know, you could be a good guy, or you could get involved, or you know, something like that? I never know if it's Hurley or Kate, because, you know, those are the only two people that it seems that seem to. I think
they've both said it to him at a time, but I think in this episode it was Hurley, because I don't think until the end. Yeah, not until the end. We don't get any Kate Sawyer interaction until close to the end of the episode.
Well, good, because she's so hateful towards him. This is like one of the first times she's been genuinely nice to him. And she's like, yeah, I'll take that action. Like, she's appreciating, she understands that he's taken a big step here.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to engage with, you know, the bad guy, you know, until Kate takes a chance on him. And that's so great. You're right. You know, that golf game, you know, just relaxed everybody for the first time probably since they crashed.
Well, and not only that, but I think it's also, not only is it kind of a lighter moment for everybody on the island, but things are already starting to pick up in this show. We've learned about, like, a monster in the woods. We've learned about, like, we've seen torture. We've seen, you know, death and, like, somebody drowning and a marshal and things like that. There's so many hectic things already going on in this show that not only was this a lighthearted moment and kind of a relieving moment for the castaways, but this is also a lighthearted and relieving moment for the viewers at the same time. So it has a double meaning, but it's, again, like, it brings so much happiness every time. Like, you mentioned the Hurley and Charlie with the golf clubs kind of dancing down at the hole, you know, teasing Jack and such. And I just think of that and I smile and I chuckle every time I think about it, because it is such a great moment from the episode.
It's like Glenn with the red car.
Yes. Yeah. That's the pilot, I think, isn't it? Of
no,
Walking
it's
Dead.
episode 3, Guts.
Okay. Well, you would know that better than I would.
Yeah,
So
that's pathetic. That's okay.
No, it's fine. But yeah, it's just my number one has to be the Island Open, aka the
That's
Hurley
cool.
Open.
The Hurley Open.
And the sad part about it is, I don't think we see it again.
Maybe we see people in the background playing. We'll look for it.
Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on it. But it also made me laugh too, because it was another one of those moments going back, and I'm thinking, you guys are out in the middle of an open field, and there is very obviously some kind of monster or creature going around somewhere. You completely let that fall to the back of your brain and forget about it for so much.
I know.
I would be legit
so funny.
scared to leave the cave. That's just me. So, but I mean, like, again, it's such just an important event because for the first time, I think, since the crash, it's something so simple, but it brings everybody together.
Mm-hmm.
Kate.
Live together, die alone.
Yeah. I mean, Jack, Michael, Walt, Sawyer, Kate, Boone, Shannon, everybody is there. With the exception of Saeed.
Rose
And Jin
wasn't
and
there.
well, actually, in Jin and Sun, I don't think we see Jin and Sun at all in these 2 episodes.
They you know what? They got their own stuff to work out.
Yeah, that's very, very true.
They're in marriage counseling.
Who's the counselor?
I don't know. Hurley seems busy, so
Yeah, I don't know who would be the counselor now. The only person I can think of would be Michael, but that's because he knows
Maybe
Sun
Rose.
speaks. That's true. So now that our top 3 are out of the way, I do have some other quick notes and stuff, as I'm sure you do too. One of the things I have to bring up is, yet again, episode 10. I think this is the 4th time in 10 episodes we start with the eye. We get another close up of the eye, and this time it's Claire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
Not in Solidarity, though.
no, not in Solidarity. So, yeah, but it's interesting. I'm keeping account as to how many times that happens.
Oh, good.
So, and I think we're up to 4 at this point. I got to double check, but I think that's the 4th time. Because it happens in the first 2 episodes, both parts of the pilot, one other time since then, and then there's this time. So I'm pretty sure it's 4. So, and I think, again, just one of the other really big moments that happens in these 2 episodes is it's kind of the final moment of episode 10, and it really starts to make a shift to where the show is going to head. And it's Saeed's words, "We're not alone."
Mm-hmm.
And the show really does hit a tonal shift at that point, because you're realizing, just as Saeed said, they're not alone on this island. There are others, and you don't know to what degree, because we're kind of seeing it from multiple places. So it's fun to watch, and it's going to be even more fun to keep going with it. So
I agree.
What about you? What are some other notes that you have?
One of them I just thought of while you were talking a little bit ago, and that was with, Saeed. He, it was very interesting. I realized that he was ordered to kill Nadia and couldn't, and he had the shot on Danielle and did. I mean, the gun didn't work, but he pulled the trigger. So I don't know if it shows like he's learning, or his mercy is gone, or what, but I just thought that was an interesting parallel between the flashback and the present day scenarios that was happening with Saeed.
Yeah.
And do I have anything else? Oh, I thought it was funny the weird parallel that we have in not our current world, but in reality. There are wars that happen while everybody back home goes on with their daily activities, and in this instance, everybody was playing golf while Saeed was being tortured by Rousseau. And I thought that it showed that stark contrast of war and just kind of the cost of war against everyday life, just kind of like that joy and terror contrast.
Okay.
I think that's it, because I had one that was a spoiler, but that's okay.
You're not going to go into it?
Nah.
So,
Yeah, that's good.
the only other one I have, and it'll be interesting to see if you agree with me on this, and
Probably not.
probably not, knowing our dynamic and what we've seen so far in 4 episodes of this podcast. We've seen some differences in characters from what we see of them on the island and then what we see they are in their flashbacks. We know, John Locke seems like this woodsman badass, but we know before the crash, he was a paralyzed person. Jack is pretty straightforward. He was a doctor beforehand, and he's showing himself to be a doctor on the island. Sawyer's kind of a hard ass, but in the dynamic of who they were as to compared to what they were, Sayid seems pretty legit who he claims to be and who he has claimed to be. He's been very straightforward when it came to like torturing Sawyer and like, this is what I did. This is who I was in the Republican Guard. And we're seeing in his flashback, he is exactly the person he has said he is. There's no games when it comes to Sayid. Sayid is not pretending to be anybody different. He is who he is. There's been no change.
While that was his job, that was not who he was.
True.
He's kind, he's generous, he's thoughtful, he's smart, he's extremely layered. He's just such an interesting character, and Naveen Andrews plays him so brilliantly. You just can't help but just fall right into Sayid, and whatever he's doing, you're just like, oh, well, we're going somewhere interesting because we're following Sayid. So yeah. I'm going to see where this takes me, Well,
maybe it almost plays out, if there's any kind of change between his flashback and the present time of Sayid on the island. Maybe it kind of plays out kind of the opposite, whereas, he's kind of become more hardened due to the island. Because as you mentioned, he was willing to pull the trigger against Rousseau, but yet he wasn't willing to kill Nadia. So maybe it's kind of played out the opposite way for Sayid, is that he's become more hardened and now he's willing to do it.
Yeah, maybe because Sayid was willing to continue torturing Sawyer.
Yeah.
Over the asthma medication until Kate told Jack to tell Sayid to stop. Because Jack was willing to let it go as far as it needed to as well. So maybe you're right. Maybe there was a hardening, but, he gets softened a little later.
That's very, very true. And I don't know in what way you meant that, and I'm not going to question it.
I meant with Shannon.
Okay. Oh, all right.
But
I was trying to make another bad dad joke, and it didn't work out.
That was a bad joke.
That wasn't even a dad joke.
That was a dad joke. Dads don't say those jokes.
You've never met my dad. Nope. So, I think that's going to wrap it up for most of the discussion of these 2 episodes. As far as feedback goes, not a lot that's come in, but we did get a voicemail from our friend Steve. So we're going to go ahead and play that right now.
Hey, Ben and Kristen, it's Steve. Hope this gets in time. If not, no worries. I guess a lot of it is just thoughts for the whole series, really, is that I'm seeing more and more, especially in these 2 episodes, that there are so many things that were set up for later on in the series that I almost wonder if they wanted it to go, like they'd mapped it out maybe for like 8 seasons, and when the ratings were so bad after coming back after the writer's strike season, they decided to limit it to 5 seasons. Anyway, that's just my thought. I'm going to try to rewatch these 2 episodes tonight if I can. I know you guys are recording tonight, so I look forward to hearing what you guys have to say. Thanks. Oh, and before I forget, I did want to say one thing that I mentioned on when we were watching it as all together, and that's, why does it take them 2 more seasons to want to know where the rest of that cable goes to that Sayid finds at the beginning of Solitary? Anyway, bye.
First things first, Steve, thank you for the voicemail, as you usually leave us every week. But he does make a good point. I mean, I've heard it from a number of different people who have said that they stopped watching the show or they weren't interested in the show because it felt like the writers didn't know where they were going with that. And I know Steve was somebody who said the same thing, before he started rewatching with us. And now, he's making the point. He's rewatching and he's saying, I think I was wrong. I think these writers did kind of have a plan. So it's
very obvious when you look in the beginning of the show that they did have a plan. I agree.
Yeah. I mean,
right down to Ethan Rom.
Exactly. I mean, you look at, you look at what we know of Ethan now, and then we don't see Ethan again, I don't think, until season 3. So
I think we see him in the next episode.
No, I mean after all of this current Ethan plays out over the next couple episodes, we don't see him again, I think, till season 3 or 4.
Yeah, maybe.
So
I don't know.
You're right. And Steve made a good point that he thinks that it could have possibly been an 8-season arc, and the ratings kind of hurt it, which they did. The writer's strike hurt a lot of shows at that time. There were some shows that there were some shows that didn't even come back after the writer's strike, which is sad. But, and we've talked about how the writer's strike pissed me off with Lost, because it took a break at a pivotal moment of the show, and I had to wait 4 months for the show to come back. Mm-hmm. I'll get into that again when we're talking about that.
I have no doubt.
But he also made, Steve also made a good point too, is when he says, why does it take 3 seasons for anybody to question that cable again?
Well, there's a lot going on, Steve. There's a lot going on.
That's very true.
That is low on the priority list with, men stabbing pregnant women in the bellies and big smoke monsters running through the forest and hatches and
actually,
polar bears.
And you know what? Thinking about it,
play golf.
Thinking about it, that cable comes back up again before the end of this season.
Yeah, because Saeed tries to go back to Rousseau.
No, Hurley finds it.
Oh, okay.
Because remember, they're going to find dynamite.
Yeah, it's been a really long time since I've seen that.
Hurley's the next one to find that cable, and it's later this season.
I'm not surprised. Hurley's amazing.
Hurley's awesome. I hope we get Jorge Garcia on this podcast. I'm trying. He's at the top. He's in my top 5 of cast I want to talk to.
Oh, good. We can talk to him about Hawaii Five-0 and and if Alcatraz will ever come back.
Oh God, I loved Alcatraz. It sucks that show got canceled.
Ended on a cliffhanger, a really big cliffhanger.
And then we can talk to Josh Holloway about what he's doing with his time now.
I don't want to talk about it.
Hopefully that gets picked up by another network. I've seen a lot of clamoring online of people who want that show to come back. So
yeah, I signed a petition.
I know you did.
And I shared it to my Facebook page.
I know you did.
Anybody that wants that, you just let us know, and I'll send you that petition for Colony to bring it back.
You should post it in the Lost Revisited Facebook page.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it tonight.
It's connected. Josh Holloway was a cast member of Lost. Let's save Colony because we like him as an actor.
Speaking of cast members for Lost, Terry O'Quinn has a new show that I've seen the first episode of, and it is fantastic.
I want to watch it so bad.
It's Castle Rock on Hulu. J.J. Abrams, Stephen King, Terry O'Quinn is in it. A few other actors that I recognize as well. Skarsgård is in it. Pennywise.
Yeah.
Which Skarsgård is it?
Not Alex.
It's not Bill? Is it Bill?
No, Bill I think was in True Blood, wasn't he?
I'm so sorry, Rima and Sean. I know that you guys are probably shouting if you're listening to this. Anyways, Castle Rock is really, really good. And Podcastica has a... they're covering it on Strange Indeed. I'm sorry.
It is Bill. You were right. It's Bill Skarsgård.
Yay.
Yeah.
Yay me. Anyways, I watched the first episode a couple days ago. It's fantastic. Terry O'Quinn is, he's in it. I wouldn't say that he's a major character yet. I'm intrigued as to where his character might be going. So, yeah, watch it.
Well, I know as of right now, I think there are 3 episodes on Hulu. Mm-hmm. So it'll be, that's something.
They come out every Wednesday.
Yeah, that's something I want to jump into it too. I think I'm waiting for another episode or 2 to drop before I start it. But, I've been looking forward to it since I saw
Yeah, it's a good one.
Since I saw the preview for it, and I'm really, really can't wait to check it out. It's interesting too because you mentioned Bill Skarsgård, who plays Pennywise in the new It, but Chosen Jacobs is also in the show, who played Mike in It as well. So there are two people from another Stephen King project that are in Castle Rock.
Cool.
And
the blonde one, is he blonde or not blonde? But
no, he's African American. He's like 16 years old, so he's a younger.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, I think
okay,
cool. Wendell, I think is the name of the character. Yeah. So, yeah, I can't wait. I might even watch it now, just talking about it.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna watch episode 2 tonight.
So, but I think unless you have anything else, we can kind of get ready to close things out.
Yeah, let's do it.
So, obviously next week, I'm still used to recording like weekly podcasts, and I forget that we do this one twice a month. So, next episode, rather, not next week, we are going to be covering episodes 11 and 12. 11 is All the Best Cowboys Have Daddy Issues, which I believe is Jack and his dad again. Yeah. And whatever the case may be, which is Kate. Okay, that's a Kate episode. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's interesting that we're getting duplicates now. We're getting second flashbacks into some characters when we haven't even gotten flashbacks into others yet. Yeah, we still haven't gotten Michael and Walt. We haven't gotten Boone and Shannon. But, you know, all in due time, we get them all.
Yep.
As time moves forward. So yeah, so episodes 11 and 12 are the next two episodes. We'll be releasing that podcast on August 15th, probably recording a couple days before that. So plenty of time to leave us feedback on those two episodes, which we encourage you guys to do. And you can do that first off on Facebook at facebook.com Lost Revisited.
We're on Instagram at Lost Revisited Pod.
You can email us at lostrevisited.pod@gmail.com.
And if you'd like to leave us a message, you can record it yourself and send it to our email address or Facebook Messenger.
Or Facebook Messenger, either one. And last but not least, we encourage you to check out all the podcasts that we have, both on the Next Level Podcast Network and the Podcastica Network. A lot of great ones that, you know, we have.
You just did an interview recently.
I did. I just had an interview with David Koechner, who, if you don't know him by name, you definitely know him by face, especially if you're a fan of the Anchorman movies or The Office. He is Champ Kind, the sports guy on Anchorman 1 and 2, and he plays Todd Packer on The Office. And he was so nice to talk to, very accommodating. I got about a good 30 minutes with him. And then I went and saw him live that night and got to meet him after the show. And he was extremely nice and absolutely hysterical. So, nextlevelradioonline.com is where you can check that one out. And,
cool.
But yeah, as you mentioned too, Rima and Sean are jumping into Castle Rock on the Strange Indeed podcast, and I think we're 2 weeks away from Fear the Walking Dead returning.
Fear the Walking Dead comes back August 12th, so Lucy and Jason will be tackling that. And if you haven't listened to Lucy and Jason, they've got a great chemistry. Lucy's Scottish, and she's wonderful.
Yes,
she's insanely smart. I highly recommend that podcast right now.
Yeah, and they're going to be jumping back into new episodes, I think, in about 2 weeks. I think it is. Yeah, when Fear the Walking Dead returns. So a lot of great material on both Next Level Radio, on both Next Level Podcast Network and Podcast. So we encourage you to check them both out. Any last words before we sign things off and we move along?
No, man. Nah, bro.
You were so delayed in answering that too. It's like, nah, man, I'm good.
I booked my flight for Walker Stalker Atlanta.
Oh, yeah.
Today.
Yeah, you know what? And I know our numbers are pretty good. We're only 5 episodes into this podcast after this one, and we're already pulling some really good numbers, which I absolutely love. But Great. To anybody who listens to us, who also listens to, Walking Dead cast or Strange Indeed or anything on Next Level, if any of you guys are planning on being out in Atlanta for Walker Stalker Con in October, we encourage you to message us and let us know, because Kristen and I are both going to be out there with a great group of people. And if the
We'll be at the airport for hours.
Yes, we will, waiting for everybody else to get there.
We're the first to arrive, and we will be the drunkest ones there by the time everybody arrives.
And everybody will have arrived by 1:00. So that's saying a lot that we're going to be drunk by the time everybody's going to be there.
Hey man, I show up at 8:45.
I'm there at 9.
Yep.
So I'm not too long after you. You only got to wait like 15.
It's going to be really, really fun.
Yeah, you only got to wait 15 minutes. But I mean, again, if anybody's going to be out there in the Atlanta area towards the end of October, hey, hit us up, because Jason, I know, loves to meet other Podcastica listeners, and we would love to meet anybody who listens to this podcast as well.
I would love that. That would be so fun.
So, but I guess that's it. That's going to wrap it up for this episode of We Have to Go Back. Again, 2 more episodes. August 15th is when you can expect that. But until then, we'll see you guys down the road. Take care.
Peace.
We have to go back, Kate. We have to go back!